Welcome back. My name is Robert. Hey, I'm not choked up this time, but I'm still with my friend David, and we're talking philosophy and Parkinson's and really in a large scope life too. And many of the things you were mentioning about carpe diem, about harvest the day, as opposed to perhaps seize the day, um, have to do with how we interpret language and how either literal or metaphorical we can allow ourselves to be. It seems to me that again, our modern society struggles with metaphor. We want things to be very clinical, straightforward. And for me, into a dive into the science world after earlier bachelor's and master's degree on the liberal arts side was very telling about
Yeah.
what was allowed and what wasn't. And here I was in this interdisciplinary health sciences program, which they said we want to marry the things, and yet all the practitioners were in the science department. They had a hard time allowing me to bring anything that I wanted to marry.
Yeah.
It was a one-way marriage. So talk to me about metaphor and maybe where philosophers use it and maybe where we miss the message, like you mentioned with carpe diem, because we miss the metaphor.
Yeah. Well, meaning always arises by contrast with other alternatives. This is 5, not 4. This is red, not green, and whatnot. And metaphor extends that kind of contrast because it takes two sets of meanings and connects them. You say, my father is a lion. And you've got all the images of the figures that come with a lion, pride, strength, and so on, and I'm applying them to my father. So that's one kind of metaphor. Ricoeur has a good theory about that. But so harvesting the day is a metaphor, which says not just snap and grab, but see what's available, take in the best fruit on the tree, and carry it off for some other purpose. Metaphors spin out into further metaphors. And one example some of my friends are fond of is Juliet is the sun, says Romeo. What does that mean? Juliet is the source of light. Juliet will burn me if I get too close. Juliet is hot. All these things. But when you make a metaphor, you unleash a whole cascade of meanings that can be put out together. And that's tough for someone who wants to write equations.
Yeah, you're right, because there's a problem-solving nature, which I mean, I fully support and think is extraordinarily valuable. And looking at, say, the Royal Society, how they came about and founded scientific thinking at a time where maybe people were, worshiping all sorts of false gods and narratives in a power structure for, their own purposes. So these people are going to say, no, we're going to basically democratize literal thought and therefore give people more equal access to it. So in that sense, the foundations are really solid. It's possible, I think, to maybe swing too far one direction or another and say these things can coexist. I mean, scientifically, qualitative and quantitative can interact.
Yeah. And they have to when you're dealing with something like a calm, long-term medicine, because you take the drug, take the shot, bingo, something should happen. But next week comes up and you're still there. And even the type scientific, define it very carefully, put it into an axiomatic system and all that. There are metaphors hiding behind that. Metaphors like chains and foundation and things built on them, and pressures. I wrote a thing recently about how the metaphor of solid things that are real, the image pertains. And people say now, well, gee, atoms are really weird quantum effects going all over the place. Why are you still thinking of them as little balls? We do that because we want to, and that's being overly influenced by old thought. But somebody thought.
Yeah, just saying that's exactly it, that there's a worship of what was sometimes and the ritual without understanding the reason for the ritual. I mean, in a literary sense, Shirley Jackson's The Lottery comes into play, right? Where they're stoning people, they don't know why, they think it's
Yeah.
ultimately to save them. And scientifically, where I found this was in statistical analysis, and again, I think statistics can be wonderful and very effective. At the same time, when we don't understand the why, and everybody's pressured, especially in an academic world, for needing to have meaningful studies that say certain things, those statistics can be bent in a lot of directions, and people can worship various philosophies of statistics, and all of a sudden it's like, this isn't even 100 years old, and and yet people are saying this is what it is, and it's like, well, is it, or how does it fit our modern world and what we're trying to accomplish?
A philosopher friend said, the one thing you can deduce from the history of science is what you believe now will be shown to be inadequate in the future.
If only we could be so humble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a term for that. The discouraging meta-induction.
The discouraging meta-induction.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold you on that one, because that's a good end to this episode. We're going to talk more about science's role and really about medicine in our next episode. This is great stuff. Thank you.